A recommended design standard for the proposed indoor turf facility. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The recommendation will be presented to Thunder Bay City Council on Monday evening. After years of back and forth, the final report is in with a mandatory bid cap of $42.7 million. Josh Morano has been following the story. Josh, what are next steps if this moves forward?
Well, Ryan, if City Council approves the next plan, staff will prepare a design build request for the facility. The proposal highlights that mandatory bid cap with the hope of showing city officials that the build can be done for less money, which in turn means the project finally gets approved. In the proposal, administration laid out 3 options for councillors regarding the price. Option 1 is estimated at over $41 million. Option 2, closer to $48, while option 3, which staff are recommending, sits at over $42.7. That's the energy efficiency model, cutting back on certain unnecessary components on the build. President of Soccer Northwest, Michael Veneziali, says the purpose of the new report is to show city councillors that in fact the facility can be built cheaper, but feels it is heading in the right direction.
I am feeling very positive about it. In saying that, we've been very, very close to this before and it hasn't got across the finish line. So it is just part of the process and it is a step in the right direction, but it's still just a step. When this goes to the developers and they get to come back with their own designs of what the facility will lay out like, what it will look like on the exterior, and they come back with that final dollar, then we'll know.
Veneziali adds some of those discretionary items include an emergency generator, additional parking, and relocating the baseball diamond, which can be addressed later and would cost around $1 million. McKellar Ward councillor Brian Hamilton says the project would be welcomed by many in the community.
The site has been selected finally, and the scope of the project has, the parameters have been set by City Council. So what we're looking at is very much in line with, I think, the expectations of the community as well as City Council. This is a legacy project, and ultimately it's here, and I anticipate it's going to get passed.
$5.5 million of the capped bid's $42.7 million price tag will be allocated for preparing the site, which is located next to the community auditorium. Josh Morano, TBT News.
It's been 6 years since the Lakehead Psychiatric Hospital shut its doors, and officials with Infrastructure Ontario still aren't ready to put the property up for sale. Questions about the future of the LPH were heightened last week after a fire broke out inside the massive building, apparently caused by trespassers. City Council members say they want an update from the province. Jonathan Wilson reports.
Thunder Bay fire crews were called to a blaze inside the former Lakehead Psychiatric Hospital on May 13th. Witnesses reported smoke coming from the building, and firefighters were able to quickly extinguish a small fire that was presumed to be started by trespassers. There was minimal damage to the ceiling and some content damage inside the building, which has been closed since 2018. The LPH is located in Andrew Folds' ward, and he's been looking for answers for years about the province's plans for the property.
The province made the decision to close it, and you know, as a result, it's actually just stood there and not really been functional. And you know, recently we've seen, you know, some not so great things happen there, some nefarious things. And you know, there was, I believe, a fire there a couple of weeks ago. And certainly, you know, as I drive by there fairly regularly, you know, it is becoming a bit derelict.
A spokesperson for Infrastructure Ontario issued a statement this week saying the property is not currently for sale. We've been undertaking various due diligence activities towards identifying potential future uses for the site. Infrastructure Minister Kinga Surma and her staff have toured the 500,000 square foot building. City officials spoke to her about it at the Roma conference in January, but there is still no clear plan for the building. One person who was recently allowed access inside found graffiti in some of the rooms and paint peeling off the walls. The LPH has been declared surplus, which means it would first have to be offered to other levels of government, school boards, or agencies before it's put up for sale. Mayor Ken Boshkoff says he wants the province to demolish it so that the majority of the property can be redeveloped for the benefit of the city.
We're on the province to do something with it as soon as possible. And almost every month or so, someone comes with another proposal to my office of mixed housing, recreation, those kinds of things. And of course, we would always keep, you know, the trail system and the lake as is. But there's no doubt that it's a huge property that could house the lands would house many thousands of people.
City Council put a community land use designation on the northern portion of the property in order to protect green spaces and natural heritage features. The spokesperson from Infrastructure Ontario declined to provide any timelines for the disposition of the building and property. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
A high-ranking Thunder Bay police officer will face 3 separate criminal trials starting early next year. Staff Sergeant Michael Dimony was arrested in December. His trial dates were scheduled today at the Thunder Bay Courthouse. Dimony was charged by OPP with breach of trust, obstruction of justice, and 2 counts of assault. The charges stem from a multi-year probe into allegations of misconduct within the city police force. Separate trials for the 2 assault charges will be held in February and April. Dimony's 3rd trial for the breach of trust and obstruction charges will begin late next May. The cases will be heard by 3 separate out-of-town judges. That OPP probe also resulted in charges against former police lawyer Holly Walborn and former police chief Sylvie Hoth. Trial dates haven't been scheduled in those cases. Mercury contamination near Dryden and Grassy Narrows is still being made worse by runoff from the Dryden mill. That's according to new research released today. It shows industrial wastewater from the mill is increasing the rate that existing mercury contaminates fish and impacts human health. Lee Noonan has the details.
High levels of methylmercury found in fish have taken a severe toll on the health of people in Grassy Narrows First Nation since the 60s and 70s, when mercury was dumped into the English Wabigoon River system by the pulp and paper mill in Dryden. New research shows that the effluent from the mill today is still exacerbating the issue.
The chemistry of water that's being discharged from the mill in Dryden today is amplifying the mercury problem above what we would expect it to be if that discharge were not occurring.
Grassy Narrows Chief Rudy Turtle wants to see the mill take immediate action to address the problem.
I hope that they would support cleanup and also that they would look at making sure that they are having safer practice or just shut it down, period.
The mill's new owners, Dryden Fibre Canada, say they care deeply but won't comment until they've had time to review the report. According to Brand Faroon, it's well known that sulfates and organic matter are needed to convert mercury to the methylmercury that accumulates in the food chain. Both are naturally occurring in the river, but his study not only found sulfate levels 30 to 100 times higher downstream from the mill, but also found high levels of organic matter that compound the problem even more than they expected.
So about 10 times more sulfate resulted in about 2 times more methylmercury. And so that's a significant amount, because if you reduce the amount of methylmercury in the environment by half, then ultimately you would reduce the amount of methylmercury in fish by half.
Turtle says he's disappointed but not surprised by the results and holds both Ottawa and Queen's Park responsible.
They're the ones that put the regulations on and they're the ones that look after the practices, so they should have done a better job. And again, it's disappointing to see this happening in this day and age.
A spokesperson for Ontario's Ministry of Environment and Conservation said the report is being reviewed by technical experts and a meeting is planned with Brand Faroon and Indigenous communities next week. Meanwhile, Brand Faroon says this doesn't have to be bad news, as it would be much faster and easier to stop adding the sulfates and organic matter to the river than it will be to remove the mercury.
Every moment that we continue to add these compounds to the river, we're still producing more methylmercury that's entering the food chain.
The Federal Ministry of Environment did not respond to our requests for comments before this story went to air. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
A health technology company specializing in medication delivery software has completed its first successful drone test flight. Critical medication was delivered to a patient located 30 kilometers away in a remote area in about half an hour. Officials say this might just be the future of pharmaceutical delivery. Jaden Billick reports.
ScriptRunner is the company responsible for this Canadian first. The firm partnered with Oak Medical Arts Pharmacy to utilize an AI-powered drone to deliver meds to hard-to-access areas. A shipment of insulin was successfully delivered to an elderly woman living alone on Trout Lake. Co-founder of ScriptRunner, Adam Plummer, speaks more about their efforts.
As a company, we believe that everybody deserves to have a great quality of life, and that's why we kind of do it in the form of medication delivery, right? So I think that if these populations are in areas that are hard to get to, again, this is the drone is definitely a versatile equipment. That's one of the many things that we can use for last mile to get them their medication. So I definitely do think it could really help out with that.
The drone used for the demonstration is the DJI Flycart 30, a large 65-kilogram wind-resistant machine capable of carrying a payload of up to 40 kilos. This trial run could potentially revolutionize the country's evolving healthcare landscape. The executive director of Oak Medical Arts, Robin Despens, says drones could provide crucial solutions in transporting medications to those in desperate need and also reduce busy pharmacy workflow.
It's been absolutely exciting to be a part of ScriptRunner's first drone-delivered prescription launch today. As a pilot project, we can see that this is going to be absolutely instrumental potentially in the future of healthcare, delivering prescriptions in a timely manner and helping patients access the care that they need. So we're really excited to be a part of the very first step in moving to that direction.
Some of the uncontrollable variables include bad weather along the flight paths. However, human interception of these packages could also be a looming threat. Plummer addressed these possible issues and how the deliveries would work.
Signatures are required. Yes, exactly. And so what the tracking actually does is that pharmacies are able to know where they're going to next. So, say for example, they have 5 deliveries and it gets delivered to the 3rd person. Once that delivery is done, it says successful and they know which delivery they're going to next. So, it's a live action shot of where the deliveries are going. So if there's any time where a person doesn't get that medication, they'll call you right away and we'll be able to track where it is.
Further testing is required, but officials hope to be making routine drone deliveries of prescriptions by early 2025. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
The 95th season of the Lakehead Festival of Music and the Arts has drawn to a close. Last night, the festival wrapped up at the Community Auditorium with music and dance performances showcasing the talent from the 2024 festival season. Josh Morano was there.
Inside of the community auditorium, youth from all across the city came together to put on one final show for friends and families. The festival season began in March with award winners from the dance festival and vocal and instrumental shows given the chance to perform on the grand stage. Festival coordinator Kathleen Brown says this event is important for the young performers.
I think that it allows them to showcase their talents and it allows them to be creative. From a young age, we have very young dancers, performers, musicians, vocalists, and all the way up to university students. So it really allows them to showcase their talents year after year and continue to foster their creativity.
From dancing groups to piano and violin players, and even singers. These young performers gave it their all in the spotlight.
My favorite part was doing my ballet solo for the Ballet Cup, and I had a lot of fun.
How was it being out there all by yourself and doing the number and then everyone clapping for you at the end?
It was a bit nerve-wracking at first, but after all, it was good.
The 96th season of the Lakehead Festival of Music and the Arts kicks off in March of next year, and organizers are expecting even more new faces to showcase their talents. Josh Morano, TBT News.
All right, let's turn our attention to the weather now. And Fiona, we finally saw the sun today. I've been asking for it for a little while, and Mother Nature delivered.
Yes, she did. And temperatures are still definitely below normal for this time of year. We should be hitting the 20-degree mark, but we did top out with a high of 16 today. It took a while to get there. Midday, we were only at about 10 Celsius at noon, but we did reach 16 after an early morning low of 4. That's with winds from the northwest, pretty blustery throughout the day, 24 up to 49 kilometers per hour, and that was under partly to mostly cloudy skies. Now across the region, Fort Frances, if we thought it was cool this morning in Thunder Bay, Fort Frances started the day at -1. So I think folks there are quite happy to see sunshine and 13, but they too have a ways to go before they hit seasonal values. It was also pretty close to the freezing mark in Red Lake. Unfortunately, with cloud and some afternoon showers, they never really warmed up. They're currently at their high for the day of 8 Celsius. In between the two, we've got kind of a mixed bag. Kenora is currently at 13, but Sioux Lookout is at 8, 9 in Dryden and Upsala, 7 in Armstrong, and Greenstone, one of the coolest spots in the region today, with the exception of Pickle Lake. Greenstone is at their high for the day of 5 Celsius, and they had a mix of rain and cloud throughout the day with winds gusting 50 kilometers per hour there as well. Along the North Shore, we're also in the single digits in Marathon at 7, 6 in Wawa. Sault Ste. Marie managing 11 at this hour, actually topped out this afternoon at 14. That's with 40K winds and mainly sunny skies. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, it's going to be very similar to last night as far as the temperatures are concerned. We're going to drop down to 3 and we'll see mostly clear skies. The winds will start out gusty this evening, but they will taper off overnight. And for the rest of the week, well, we're going to start out with a much cooler Friday. Yes, cooler than the below seasonal temperatures we saw today. That will turn into rain for Friday night and into Saturday. So kind of a wet start to the weekend and a fair amount of it. But after that, we've got sunshine and temperatures warming back up to more seasonal levels. So I'm really hoping this will satisfy your need for sunshine and warmth. Will it?
That doesn't sound like me. I like to complain about something in regards to the weather.
I'm sure you'll find something.
I will find something, to be sure. Thanks a lot, Fiona. All right, well, we often hear about the dangers associated with AI, but there are some benefits as well, including this, and it's a big one. A children's hospital in Ottawa is using artificial intelligence to help diagnose some rare conditions. We'll have details on that and more when your Thursday News Hour continues right after the break.